Yeah, but it's in 10 or 20 days and it's classical.
Okay, love it. And then Flan, what time do you need to leave? Because I know you have to catch a bus. So I just want to like, how much time do you have comfortably?
I'm leaving at 8:30, so about an hour and a half from now.
Okay, great. Well, maybe what
Of
we'll
course, it could
do.
be a little bit later.
Oh
Sometimes the
no,
bus comes at like 8:30, so
sure, sure, yeah. Well, we don't want you to be rushed. So, I think the material I'm going to provide is going to give us well plenty of time to enjoy it, but I think we'll also have time left over to just talk a little bit about the Polgar simul and how we might want to approach that if we want to do any preparation, whatever. But the game I selected for our group class, I think is well, it's unique, also once in a lifetime, and very inspiring. You know, we ask questions. You know, I mean, Flan, you were asking a question in the improvers club. You know, about positional play, how to convert favorable positions, and you saw how complicated my answer was, and I hardly scratched the surface with my response. So I think I gave you some good direction, but I think I made it clear in the message, like, hey, we all struggle here, and it's something that we're all going to work on. And um, I think the game I'm about to show you um, might fill us with inspiration for the rest of our chess lives. And it's not because it's like the most amazing game ever. It's something that gives us, I think, a lot of inspiration and sense of like what happens when you face a giant. Like, in other words, if you get to face um, Hikaru, imagine you play Hikaru in a classical game. Like Flan goes on his bus, and then Hikaru has already flown and says, "Oh, here's my chance to cheese some FIDE points and get closer to my candidate school." You know, what would you think if you're playing Hikaru? What do you think the game's gonna play out? Any of you guys? What do you think?
dead loss in the opening, I
Right,
assume.
a non-game, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
I
it
would
feels like we're not even playing the same game, right? Like if you're playing Hikaru in a classical game or some
I
top
would
10
try
player.
to make it as complex as
Hmm.
possible because Hikaru won't make a mistake in a simple position, and I will. So as complex as possible, always.
Yeah, and we could talk about that regarding the simul, regarding strategy. Um, I can hear Artem just fine. So, Flan, you can hear me though.
I can
Yeah,
hear
I can't hear
everybody.
you. I can't hear you. No,
Can you hear Victor as well?
no, I can't.
I
Apparently
You
don't know.
not.
can hear me? I can upload my.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you guys sound fine. I don't know why, Flan, but it might be something on your end with. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
those two.
probably.
But
Yeah.
anyway, if you have any, yeah, they're not muted or anything. So, um, it
Yep.
okay. So that would be sort of my feeling too. And so I've gone into games and I've coached people to say, you know, if you play for a draw, you're playing for a loss, right? You can't just trade everything and play for a draw. But if the position demands it and you simplify, maybe it's okay. Well, my very first student, if you look at my Coach Dane, oh, we just lost Flan. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Why don't you guys try speaking and see if he can hear you?
Do you hear us? Do you
Oh,
hear
yes.
us from? Okay, perfect.
Hello.
Can
Mm,
you hear me,
okay, I
Flan?
can hear you. No, nice.
So you can hear
I
everybody?
can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, cool. Um, so if you look up, which article was it? A day in the life of the daily puzzle curator. If we, let me, you'll see why I'm spending a second to show everyone this. Um, if you click that link just briefly, scroll down to the first photo of the book. Do you see the Z, the letter Z written in certain positions? Once everyone gets there. You guys see that photo?
Yeah.
And
The Z
we lost
is
Flan
for,
again.
oh, we'll give him a second. Flan, you might want to try turning your camera off. Maybe that'll help you with your connection. Give him a second. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Flan?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
Okay, so that picture there, the Z, I had a book, Fred Reinfeld's winning chess combinations. The Z was Dane Zagar. He was my first student with his sister, already 22 years ago, if you can imagine, my first student. And so when he was a kid and I was a little bit older than them, I would write like, okay, this will be a puzzle for you and a puzzle for you. And so anyway, that's my first student. And he's now basically national master strength. He doesn't have the title, but his FIDE is a little over 1950 and very strong player. And in any case, some of you, maybe all of you, have heard Hikaru's maneuvering to get into the candidates based upon his rating, since Carlsen's unlikely to play. And so he's showing up to random tournaments where he's going to dodge like really strong players, but they're FIDE rated events. So he's going to find enough games to qualify for the candidates is his plan. So he ended up showing to Iowa, a state in the Midwest in the United States, a very small tournament. And all of a sudden, my first student and good friend of mine is facing Hikaru in a classical game. One-on-one, no simul. Dane versus Hikaru. And one of the most important pieces of advice I'll give the three of you is, I think Alexander Grischuk, he says many interesting things, many insightful, funny things, but I think his most insightful statement that will help us as we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves to prepare, and make sure, we're doing our absolute best at homework and all of this, is I remember I think it was a candidates match, and he was played a game, and they asked Grischuk, like, well, how long did you prepare for this game? And Grischuk just kind of looked at the interviewer and sort of shrugged. And he said, well, all my life, I guess. It's a brilliant quote. And it's a good reminder. How long are any of us preparing for our next game? I like that approach. Although he was half joking, he was giving a very good insight, which is we're always training. And don't put so much pressure into one event. And so the way Dane is about to play, I have seen him play this way for over 20 years. When he was my student, starting out, we looked at the Queen's Gambit declined like 20 years ago, and he's played it all the way up to his current strength. And so he's been preparing his whole life to face Hikaru, even though he had no expectation to play Hikaru. And he has the black pieces. So Hikaru plays d4. Артем, you'll appreciate Hikaru, I know, is doing preparation even for these Mickey Mouse tournaments, as he calls them. So he does research on all these players, and he knew that Dane played the Petrov, his white, or his black, by the way. So he's like, I don't know if I want to face the Petrov today. So he played Queen's Gambit. Dane plays the Queen's Gambit declined. And I live in another state than Dane. When he came to visit recently, say a few months ago, we played a number of late night blitz games. And sure enough, Dane played this exact way. This is the idea of preparing his whole life. This is what he plays. One thing with Flan, I know initially you were playing the bird, and then there's this feeling like, oh, you should give up on the bird and you should play real openings and blah, blah, blah. And it was nice to see you kind of go back full circle and just embrace what you're learning, what you're working on. And now you have some very nice rating achievements that you were sharing. And I just like this approach. Not that you have to only play one opening, but don't let anyone else tell you you need to play something else. You know, if you organically change, that's fine. But Dane Zagar has played an opening as a beginner, and he's using it all the way to play the number 2 player in the world, Hikaru. And the funny thing is, I watched this game live. Dane played c6, and I was the only person in the world other than Dane Zagar that knew this move's coming next. And so he even had this prepared, not for Hikaru specifically, but that he's been working on his openings. And I believe Dane said Richard Rapport, you first saw maybe a Richard Rapport game where black plays bishop d6. So it looks kind of weird to play bishop d6. You've already spent a tempo on bishop e7, but it turns out it works. Black structure is rock solid. If you check Nakamura's recaps, he analyzes this game. And for us not seeing this before, he'd be like, this is a beginner's move. But Hikaru, I think, just kind of casually made a comment like, well, it's kind of a dry opening. That's all he said. So he wasn't shocked by it by any means. And so the idea is, if you ever see in the London, right, where bishop f4 is played, black plays bishop d6, white will often play bishop g3 and say, okay, you can capture on my terms. The issue with this, it's playable, but black is able to get to the London diagonal, the light squared London diagonal before white can, and black's doing great. This is like fully solid line. So Hikaru says, okay, I'll play along. You're spending 2 moves to make this trade, although you are activating the queen. Bishop d3. Dane plays knight e7, hinting at the possibility of bishop f5. And again, he's not playing for a draw, to be clear. This is just a way that he's played the Queen's Gambit decline for a long time, and he's just going to get a solid game. And I think this attitude's important. He's not trying to force anything against Hikaru. He knows if he just blindly trades pieces, he's going to lose the game because you have to just kind of go with the flow of the game. So after queen c2, Hikaru develops the queen, prevents bishop f5. There's a number of good moves here, and Dane plays queen f6. And I just think this is like very, very solid. And it's kind of funny, Victor, you'd say like, well, this is probably going to like really backfire for Dane because he's playing this like really dry way and he's trying to simplify. But the truth is, this is something Dane loves. He loves endgames. He's a positional player in general. Whereas the 3 of you, I think, are a lot more creative, a lot more like dynamic attacking players. So for you, keeping it complicated may make perfect sense. For Dane, on the other hand, he's doing it in this way, not to draw, but just because he's been preparing this game his whole life. This is how he always plays. And so after knight e2, bishop f5, castles, more trades, queen g6. And so basically what he's doing is saying, I will keep trading. I don't mind. If Hikaru offers a draw, of course, he'll take it. But I think if Dane were playing a lower rated player, he would play the same way. I've seen him do this. Basically, a lower rated player that might want to draw him might keep trading and say, oh, I'm going to get a draw. And it's like, no, there's plenty of life left. There's an imbalance in the structure. Black hasn't castled yet. Remember this thought, white has. So because black hasn't castled, if you just trade queens, black might not castle at all and say, okay, my king's already better prepared for the endgame. So it's a deep opening. There's a reason that world champions play the QGD. Not that I'm pushing us to play QGD against Judith, by the way, but just this is Dane's approach. Queen d2, Hikaru's like, no, I'm not going to trade. a5, very energetic move. He takes some space. And I'm going to, sorry?
After a5, knight f4, I'm assuming, no?
He didn't play that. Knight f4 definitely seems possible. And what's our kind of idea here?
Idea for white probably is to reroute knight to d3 and then fight for e5, c5, something like this. Seems pretty normal.
Like that?
And at d3, knight e5, and at some point even f4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And we're going to be getting to a critical moment. I know I'm kind of flying through the moves, but good question. I think Dane, could play something like knight d7 and, kind of counter this knight. And you're right, you can play the move f4, but then there's the space left behind. And this is kind of the point about like, let's say whatever opening we play against Judith, she could play anything, right? We don't know yet. But let's just say this happens, like we get into this situation. If Judith's white, she's not going to want to draw, to be clear. Not that she's going to like force crazy complications, but like this is an example where you're 100% right. You can play F4 sooner or later, try to play for like 95, whatever, but now there's the space left behind. And so you're giving me something too. In the long run, maybe knight b6, knight c4, I hit the queen, I hit the pawn. Very double-edged. And that's so it's just an example where even in a dry position, you can get winning chances. And in this sort of situation, if you're pushing as white, which Hikaru has to, right? Let's keep this in mind. Hikaru has to win this game. He draws against a 1900, he's screwed. Like he needs to win basically every game to keep his rating, because he's getting like, I think 0.8 rating points. So it's not about the rating itself. It's about getting enough FIDE games so he qualifies. So like, it's a good question. Like, what does Hikaru do, to try to win this game? And so he knows like he's gonna play for a win, but how do you do it without giving your opponent a lot of counterplay? It's not easy, even for the world number 2. So good point, Victor. Knight f4 is possible. Keep knight f4 in mind a little later. Hikaru gets a little bit critical of his play later. What he does is he keeps that option open, but he plays f3. And this is the typical Botvinnik plan that Botvinnik played, Kasparov has played. And you're basically trying to get the hanging pawns in the center. A lot of famous Botvinnik games. And so Hikaru's idea is like, look, I'm going to play 100 moves if I have to. I'll play 200 moves if I have to. I control the pawn break. If you ever play f4, then you don't control that pawn break anymore. It's out of your hands. So even if Hikaru wants to play f4 later, notice he waits. Someday maybe knight c1, knight d3, then you can choose if you're going f4. But once you play f4, there's no going back. So Hikaru first starts with f3, and truth be told, he's intending e4. Dane plays knight d7, Hikaru plays e4. Knight b6. And this would be kind of an interesting moment to talk about what to play here from White's perspective. Give everyone a little bit of time to think. We can talk about what to do here.
B3 looks pretty normal, but after a4, there was possible trade, and we will stay with like hanging pawn. Not really hanging, but probably in the future. So probably not that clear. But if it's Blitz, I would play b3 and then think.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
B3, A4, there's not knight F4, queen F6, and pawn, and he takes A4 and you win a pawn there.
I'm looking at. I know I might be overthinking here. I'm looking at knight c1 because here's the problem. Here's a problem. Knight c4, I don't see it as that big of a threat. And after knight c1, you allow the queen to go to f2, which improves your queen. First of all, because it can go to g3, it goes h4. And then your knight on c1, it can go to b3 and then c5. It can also go to d3 and then f4 is what I'm thinking. And overall, it's just improving all the pieces. And b3 seems like a good move. It's a decent move, but then after a4, and then, pawn takes, knight takes, rook takes, for example, the a pawn is suddenly like isolated, and it's going to be a weakness in the long run. So I'm thinking knight c1 here.
Okay, this is great. And one thing I want to try to like tie this into is like, this could be the kind of discussion we're going to have against Judith. I'll have to look into the details. I still need to do my homework, but my understanding is we have to make a move when she shows up to the board, right? So I don't know how much time we're going to have per move. But let's say great analysis, by the way. I like all 3 of your suggestions. B3, knight f4, and knight c1. Very clever about queen f2 flan. I like what you're saying. You can reroute your knight. Now, I haven't checked this with an engine, so take that. We're just talking as humans here, as we will be doing with Judith's game, of course. When I hear Victor make the conclusion we might be winning a pawn, We want to double check that quickly. And when we're playing against Judith, we talked about knight f4, queen f6, take, and we'll get there. But one thing I always want to do, especially when we're low on time, is just create a quick like flash in my mind and be like, well, queen is loose, queen h6 is a move. This doesn't mean therefore knight f4 is bad. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is if we think we might win material, I guess I would do two things in a flash. Number one, not that I'm a good calculator, I just mean like quickly try to look at this stuff, is if you take, you have what, 2 attackers and I have 3 defenders. So is there like,
I was saying b3 first. b3 and if
Oh.
a4, knight f4. That was
oh,
my
I'm
idea.
sorry. I thought you said b3 is interesting, but I want to play knight f4. Okay, so you and Artem are both saying b3, then knight f4. Got it. Nakamura is super critical of his move that is objectively good. He did play b3, but he started to get a little annoyed by himself. One thing I would say, all these moves are good objectively. You know, I think knight c1 is a really cool idea too. I don't remember which move Hikaru recommended in his video, but when I was preparing for today's lesson, one thing I thought about is, can I make progress? What is a healthy move I want to play anyway? In other words, when I think about knight c4, great point, guys, about b3 allowing a4, very complicated. A move that I think would be very useful, kind of going all the way back to our heritage of like Paul Morphy or something, like development. How do we keep developing? This move speaks to me as a test. And the test that I'm kind of thinking about is black is rock solid, but black has been spending a lot of time. Bishop e7, d6, right? Queen moved here, offered a trade, traded material, moved the queen again. So black has spent a lot of time to get a solid game. So Nakamura, if he plays rook a e1, if we can get away with this, guys, we're completely developed, right? So if knight c4, and there'll be other moments we'll talk about, worst case scenario, okay, don't fall for a fork. Worst case scenario, you can play queen c1. It's okay. But an interesting test is, what if we fight fire with fire and play queen f4? We don't have to calculate too deeply. Basically, the idea is if you take my pawn, which black isn't forced to, but if black does, threatening a fork, by the way, now we have queen c7. And all of a sudden, our pieces are coming to life. We're attacking b7. We're aligned with the king. This doesn't feel great for black all of a sudden, right? I could take your pawn. If you ever try castling, your knight's hanging. And so this would be an example where if we're playing Judith and we somehow get a lead in development, which is maybe not that likely with black, but who knows, just a good reminder, or even if we're behind in development, it's like, what is a healthy developing move? And can we play something that helps my position? And so objectively, I think rook a e1 is very powerful, not reacting at all. Rerouting the knight was possible, but now, you know, we still have knight f4. We're just keeping our options open. So Hikaru played b3, and he wasn't happy with it. He thought, it's fine, but now, like you said, a4. Dane never played a4. You're ahead of the game. I think he should have played a4. Maybe Castle play a4. But I also have to remind you, in the United States, we have kind of this typical culture where it's not uncommon to play 3 games in a day. Because like, I know, Victor, even when we were doing a lesson, you're like, oh yeah, I have like 1 game a day, right? For several days. Like, you've played those tournaments.
Yeah.
How often do you play 3 games?
Limit. 2 games a day is the absolute limit. 2
Yeah.
games and no more.
And it's 3 games with 90 minutes, 30-second increment. Can you imagine? It's just brutal. So let's keep that in mind. This is round 3. Okay. So Dane castled. Rook fe1. And this is where Hikaru was really beating himself up. If I remember correctly, he recommended queen f4. With the idea, get your queen active, look for some weaknesses, and start asking questions. Queen f4, I think, was a strong move that he missed. So he played rook e1. And so, guys, look at this. We're move 17. And Dane is, like I said, 1950 FIDE. And he's playing the number 2 player in the world. How would you feel if any of you were playing Hikaru and you get this position as black on move 17? To me, it's kind of a dream. Like,
Excited at most. But probably
it's
at some point I would get so nervous by being so fine, because this, I think
yep,
it's probably a bit better for white, but
yeah,
probably like equal. I was so excited I would blunder a piece in one move, and
exactly,
that's
man.
it.
But Hikaru needs that. He needs you to do that. Even the number 2 player in the world needs a little help from his opponent. And the point is that the main thing I want you guys to take from this lesson is like, wow, Hikaru's a human being too, and that you guys can play chess as well. That's the other important concept. We too can play chess. And if you don't psych yourself out, you can do amazing things. Like, I never predicted Dane would be at move 17 on more or less equal footing with the number 2 player in the world. Yeah, white has a little bit of pressure, but like, come on, like you can't ask for more here against Hikaru. And this will never be I mean, maybe it'll be in a book someday if I write a book, but I'm just saying, like, these are the kind of games, like, I was like, okay, Flan, here's an amazing game by Rubinstein. And the Spell Fan book has a bunch of Rubinstein games, but this isn't something you can just look up easily. I mean, yeah, you can see Hikaru's coverage of it, but I'm saying the story behind it, the psychology, the stuff is very special. And so Dane played rook fd8. And guys, this is a really important moment. Hikaru on his YouTube made the comment, I was going to mute Flan. Hikaru made the comment, he was nervous. He played rook e1 and he was nervous. And one thing that I think the top players are so good at is they understand time, the timing of things. So far, black has been rock solid, right? But this was the time when Nakamura played a soft move, a move that he didn't believe in, right? If you're going to move any rook, probably this one, but even better was queen f4. Well, this is where you have to be able to shift gears. You can't just chill and be like, okay, I'm solid. Nothing's ever going to happen. Everything's fine. And Nakamura was like, oh no. So if Hikaru were playing Hikaru, he pointed out, now is the time to take. And the idea is, yes, you get the 2 pawns in the center. They're hanging pawns. But because you move your rook here, your rook isn't ready for the dance. But guess what? I am ready. All roads lead to the Dutch, even the QGD. We're still going to play the Dutch. There's no way to avoid it, guys. But this is just brilliant. And this was Hikaru's notes that he just, was casually analyzing after the game. And he was very worried because his idea is like, yes, I do get a passed pawn, and he would have played e5. But now this pawn is backward, something that can be targeted, and you've given me the d5 square. So a lot of chess here. Knight f4 still in the air. White's doing fine, but so is black. And that's a big lesson here, is the timing, that once the opponent moves away from a pawn break where you can open up lines, the timing here is just incredible, and everything's ready. And I don't think I would have found that at all. But someone like Nakamura just sees it in a flash. It's amazing. So he kind of was happy that Dane played rook fd8. He plays here. And now you guys talked about a4. This would be a very good time, I think, to play a4. Dane should have played a4. Every now and then Dane misfires a bit, as we all do, and he plays a move that feels kind of random, h5. This is where you'd get like a Hikaru face. I'd imagine if Nakamura, while he's playing, you play this move, Nakamura gives one of his famous faces, like, what the heck are you doing, buddy? This move I don't get at all. If we compare it to the f5 situation, it makes sense. You get the rook rolling, you open a diagonal, you're getting a lot of interesting counterplay, and you're fighting against the hanging pawns. This move I don't understand at all. I think Dane is just like, as maybe all of us are, like, once AlphaZero started playing a5, a4, h5, h4, it's like, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll play like AlphaZero. Not a good move, in my opinion. And Nakamura plays queen f4. And all of a sudden, there he is looking at c7. So Dane stops it. Boom. Look how fast Nakamura just pounces on the slightest inaccuracy. And Victor, this is your point about getting nervous, as we all know. You're playing a strong player. You're playing the number 2 player in the world, one of the greatest players of all time, on his bid to get to the candidates. If Dane somehow survives, Nakamura is not going to the candidates. Think about that. Just takes one game to just derail him. And so all of a sudden you're like, yep, I screwed up, right? I knew it happened. Now it happened. And this is where the negative downward spiral occurs. You know, so Flan, when you have your tournament tomorrow, you're going to have some bad moments, right? You're going to have, oh, why did I do that? I'm such an idiot and all that. And observe yourself doing it, and don't beat yourself up. You know, curse yourself in your head or whatever you do you, but then say, okay, resurface. What can I do next? You can't control the moment of getting frustrated, but you can control the next moment. So Nakamura is threatening to win the pawn. Dane moves here. Knight g3. Okay, guys, here we are. What do we do?
G6.
Hang tough.
G6 looks fine, but we're like capturing our own queen in a cage or something.
Yeah.
So
Queen fianchetto.
is possible, but it will take some time. And probably there could be like queen g5, knight takes pawn on h file.
Yeah.
Everything looks really tactical, and playing against Hikaru, the worst thing I could do is make things tactical, if we're talking about Hikaru.
And it's incredible, you know, that here we are, and this could be us against Judah. This is like very realistic. Like we could be in this position against Polgar. And what's so important is, like, I wouldn't have found this move, by the way, is that hold the pawn until proven otherwise, right? It's a good attitude to be practical. But the issue was, and Hikaru said he was waiting for G6 and he expected it. And then he'd play E5. And all of a sudden, F4 can become a thing, F5 can become a thing. E6, exactly. Big problem. And this is a dream for Hikaru. You've created the weaknesses for him. He's going to just roll. And we're in trouble. So to Dane's credit, and this is something we need to remember, because this kind of move we can find as a team, but we have to be like, okay, if we hold on to the pawn, is that a pawn that is worth holding? If we leave all the pieces on, it turns out after E5, we're going to get crushed. So Dane summoned the strength against the #2 player in the world. All the negative thinking behind H5 and how foolish that move was there. He didn't like his move. That he suddenly realized, well, wait, what if I just give up the pawn? Now, I typically don't quote Vladimir Kramnik, but it is a mistake to write him off because he's one of the greatest players of all time as well. And when he says sensible things about chess, it's worth listening. And one very sensible thing Kramnik said is a pawn is just another positional factor. As amateurs, including myself as an amateur, we hold on to pawns. We hold on to material. It feels bad to lose a pawn. Kramnik's point is, no, a pawn is just another positional factor, one of many. And the point is, I'm going to give you your pawn. You get to win a pawn, in air quotations, win. But now, you know, Flan, like in the Improvers Club, I use the term transformation. Dane transformed his defense into an ending without queens. He's down a pawn, but now he gets to create the hanging pawns, and boom. All of a sudden, there's all this pressure. So compare this moment to this moment. Black keeps the pawn, but will probably lose the king soon enough. This is a miserable position for Black. And it's a position I probably would have played. But because Dane was able to resurface and be like, hey, a pawn is just another positional factor, he's transformed the position into a very holdable defense. And now Hikaru has all the pressure in the world, literally, because the world is watching him. The game's being broadcast. He's desperately trying to make his last run for the candidates. And here we are. What are we going to do as the world #2? And so Hikaru all of a sudden is under so much pressure. He holds on to the pawn that's being attacked. Dane moves his knight back. We're going to see some maneuvering. Puts pressure here. Nakamura is in time to defend his pawn. Dane hits another pawn. He goes back. Now Dane plays g6 to restrict the knight, give his king a little bit of room. This is a super tough position. Knight c3. Dane plays f6, so he's trying to create a bit of a barrier with his pawns. He's giving his king a little bit of room. Maybe his rooks can slide over, giving his knight a square. He's just, being flexible here. And to Hikaru's credit, he keeps climbing. He keeps creating problems. h4. Dane hits the pawn. Hikaru defends. Knight c8. His knight is completely dominated, so he's going to reroute it. So not a bad move by him at all. h5, very good move by Hikaru. Creates a weakness on f5. d5, pushes forward. He has to win. He can't sit. So he's putting Dane under pressure. Take, knight c5. Knight jumps in. Knight here. Look at that. Dane's down a pawn. Hey, I'm down a pawn. I shouldn't trade. He's like, no, I can trade. I'm okay trading a pair of knights. Your knight's super active. Knight g3. Rook e5. So Dane is staying very active. Puts pressure on the pawn. Guards the 5th rank. Hikaru hits the pawn. And so notice what Nakamura is doing. He has to find a transformation. He can't sit. So now we're in a situation with rook f2, where he transforms his advantage. He puts pressure here. Dane protects. Attacks again. So look at this. Nakamura's like, yeah, go ahead, man. Take a pawn. So notice what both players did here. That's so important. Is when Dane was against the ropes, the queen was here, the pawn was about to fall. He was, rather than like trying to hold on, as the tsunami approaches, he just gets away and says, okay, you can have a pawn. Here, if we're playing this game, I would find it mentally very hard to give up this pawn. But Nakamura's like, how do I make progress with this pawn? I have to create new weaknesses. And so he goes after the F pawn, and keeping the H pawn in the air. Dane defends it. Hikaru jumps in. Okay, he indirectly defends the pawn because of the fork. So then Dane moves his king. Rook c2. So Hikaru goes all in. So notice, guys, this is move 41. You're at move 41 with Hikaru, and you're still hanging tough. It's amazing. This is a 1950 FIDE player, and he's an adult. Dane, I'm the same age as, the way I always remember Dane's age and my age, I'm the same age as Hikaru. I was born in 87, and Carlson is the same age as Dane, born in 1990. So this is not some young improver. This is somebody that's, in his mid-30s and hanging tough with Hikaru. Rook c2, takes, and now rook c7. Okay, we survived to this point. Now what?
I might have to give up the d7 pawn, I assume, to try and hold. Because rook f7 just seems like a way better move than rook b8, which is the only move that protects.
Well, there's b6.
Yeah. b6, yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, b6 is a pretty good move.
I think
But then I
I
assume
don't like it that much. Rook e1 or g4, a lot of things. Whoa. This is really tough to defend already.
I think b6 is a little bit slow move because we can white can even give up its knight, and like after rook e1, rook takes knight, rook e7 with check, and then takes knight on d7, and then rook on the 7th rank, and something just there is problem made. and pretty nice pawn on h file. We could always come to the pawn on a file. Really complicated. So I think b6 is a huge miss, if I could say so.
But what do we
Rook
do, right?
F7.
For under pressure here. So I hear rook f7, I hear rook b8, I hear b6.
But rook b8 too passive, I think. Way too passive.
So probably
Definitely.
it will be like rook f7 and hope for the best.
It's a very pragmatic choice. But
Has
if we
anybody
think,
considered b5 yet? Just
No.
b5? Not b6?
No.
Oh, b5.
Because like b5, you can push the pawn 2 squares, and then it's a little bit more active. The knight, I think it's well, I mean it's pinned, but you can't really get to it for now. It's just a little bit of an annoyance, I assume. And then just b5 gets us really level. I think rook a7 could be a problem, but then b4, and we should be fine.
I simply don't know what to do if we move a pawn. What will we do against rook e1? Like second, white will second the knight, but gets very active rooks.
Rook e1, rook f7, I think we're not forced to take the... I think we could take the knight. It looks really dangerous, but with king h6, not, maybe not. Maybe we can't take it, but just rook f7 and we defend somehow. Enough.
super complicated, guys, and good ideas. I mean, and we're all feeling the struggle that Dane felt. And this is what makes Hikaru so great. Is you force the opponent to make choices constantly. And so in this moment, at b6, Hikaru thought for sure this was going to be played. And I guess it kind of speaks to b5, but yeah, b5 feels a little more active. I think Hikaru's main idea was he was going to play knight e3. And okay, Artem, yeah, rook e1 should be talked about too, to be clear. But this was my analysis before today is here, you hit the rook, if the rook guards. Knight c4, I don't think is so hot. Trying to get some sort of tactic. If I step out of it, even king h6 maybe looks reasonable to attack this pawn, if nothing else. But the issue Hikaru can do is transformation again. Knight g4. And this gets very unpleasant quickly. He's ready to, take the knight. There's some pressure here, pressure on f6. Black is probably not going to survive this. And the issue is all three of Hikaru's pieces are playing together, and this pawn does such a great job kind of suffocating black. So if we go all the way back to one of the most instructive moments, I think, of the game, it all connects, by the way, as you'll see. When Hikaru played the soft move, he immediately pointed out a favorable transformation to make your pieces active. How do we harmonize our pieces? How do we stay active? Well, Hikaru's done a fantastic job after this maneuvering phase. He created weaknesses. He's squeezing Dane. He said, go ahead and take my d5 pawn. I don't care. I literally don't care, right? Hikaru style. We get here, and Hikaru expected b6, and he was very upset to see rook e8 on the board, which Dane found. It's a very nice move. And the attitude is correct. I mean, it's not that you always should play active. Active is not always the solution, to be clear. But when you look at the passive defense, you start to see the squeeze, and you don't have a clear way to hold the balance. That might be the recipe. You have to make it complicated. Even in a simplified ending like this, still very complicated. And so by playing rook e8, he takes the spectator, the rook that's not doing much, makes it active. And after Hikaru reluctantly takes the pawn, Dane has the right idea, but blunders with rook e2. And what he missed, because he's hitting the a pawn, he's thinking about doubling, he missed this brilliant move, knight g3. It's just a cool move. Like, go ahead, take my pawn. I don't care. f6 is falling. So he made it to move 44 against the world number 2. And this is when the wheels finally come off. He steps back. I'll tell you what he should have done in a minute, but just to show you how it ended. Hikaru plays king h2. It's kind of a cool move, just hanging out. Here, check. Can't touch the pawn. And now he moves his rook up, and he has a very cool plan. g4, doesn't matter. He's going to play this anyway, but g4 makes it worse. When in doubt, don't push a pawn. Rook e3. And Dane resigned here, which might feel kind of surprising, but if you look at the position, it's actually very hard to recommend a move. What does black play here?
It's only move, no? There's just
Rook E5.
one move.
Rook E5, I assume?
Yeah.
Is that a sensible move?
Sure. I mean, and then absolutely, it's sensible. And then the issue is, I think Hikaru would take. You take back, and then he plays knight e3. And if you defend the pawn, I would assume we can just play knight g4. Artem's point kind of about that other line where you're trading the knights. And so he's down pawns, he's just losing. Now, I'm not saying if we get this position against Judik, guys, we're not resigning.
Oh,
Right?
no.
No chance. We're playing rook e5, we keep fighting.
I would play until mate against Hikaru, probably. It's my only chance to play a top player. I don't. In this position, resignation is way too.
Maybe we can find a compromise between making the world, elite player deliver checkmate in 1 versus resigning too early.
Mate, but until I have nothing, I have absolutely nothing.
Until we can no longer ask a question, I think is a fair approach. Like, let's ask questions. Let's try to keep it complicated. I'm with you. We want to fight.
If there's no rook e5, then I probably would think I'm dead lost. But with rook e5, then it's still a game.
Yeah, go into the rook ending. You're down 2 pawns. Just keep fighting. I agree. But remember Bent Larson's quote: "Resigning 1 move before mate is too late." But resigning here, I don't know. I would have kept playing. But anyway, where I want to connect. First of all, amazing game by Dane. Amazing game by Hikaru. We don't give him any credit. But it's like, this is the 3rd game. He has to win. He played amazing. Like, he knew he was tired. He was missing moves. That's the other thing, guys. Hikaru gets tired too. And he was talking about that. It's the 3rd game of the day. And even though he's the world number 2, like, he's tired. And his opponent was inspired and kept fighting him. And so the last thing I'll say before I kind of conclude the lesson, I want to show the connecting points. Dane played rock solid, played a perfect opening. So a perfect opening for him. Following Grishchuk's advice, how long had he prepared for the Nakamura? His whole life. He was ready. So when a surprise, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity comes your way, you're ready for it. As much as anyone can be ready for such an opportunity. Because you be who you are, right? Don't, I'm playing Hikaru, I need to do something I don't usually do. It's like, no, play your best, play who you are. And so the point is, Dane played rock solid, missed a really critical moment that Nakamura saw probably instantly. Take F5. Brilliant transformation, right? Then Dane misfired and blundered. This is the move that I think this is the move of the game. Knight g6. It's a move the 3 of us, or the 4 of us, can all find. But it's very hard to find because you can guard your pawn. But once you see the storm clouds after e5, it's like, it's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world. Kramnik's point, a pawn is just another positional factor. If you say, hey, material's even after this move, yeah, great, but what about this stuff? Does the position feel equal to you? No. But when you can find a move like this, force the queens off, and then you transition to the hanging pawns. This is brilliant. Very practical defense. And so remember Hikaru's timing about f5 and e4, right? Fast forward. This critical moment. Dane didn't play b6. He played rook e8. And this is the amazing thing, is Hikaru was sweating. He was nervous because he saw that Dane could have played rook e5 now. And the point is, if you play g4, then all of a sudden g4 is falling potentially. This is bad news. And if you play what Hikaru played in the game, Hikaru pointed out Dane could have played f5. So even in the end game, Hikaru has this really sublime sense of harmony and timing. How can I move forward in any way possible?
There's no tactic. Knight takes f5.
That's a good question. Can we take? Yeah, maybe.
I don't think so. I don't think so, actually.
Maybe
Because rook
d2 or rook e2 or something like that. Assuming.
no. Because I'm thinking rook takes knight, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, rook takes knight with check. And after this, king h6. King h6, you win the pawn back. If you try to defend with g4, I mean, you have the same idea, rook f4.
I don't think you win the pawn back, actually. Rook d4. And you're 2 pawns down, and you can't take the h5 pawn really. Rook d4 here.
Oh. Yeah, very
It's
good
interesting.
point.
It's a good question. So let's look at this. I might be misspeaking about the exact timing. I remember rook e5 and f5, but good question, Victor. So let's say we play rook c5.
Difficult, of course.
Then g4, and like, I don't know.
Check.
And I think
we take. Okay, you're right. I mean, this is still maybe very difficult.
But of course, Hikaru doesn't want to draw an endgame. We all know that Hikaru would squeeze the endgame if he's upon up, but rook
Let me go back,
e4
though.
here.
So even
I think like this endgame, white's winning like 90% of the time, just because the activity of the king is just so contrastly
so
different.
strong.
It's complicated.
The white king's too strong, honestly. Yeah. So like going back to like the part where like rook d4, I was thinking, okay, after like, you know.
So I know for sure he recommends rook e5.
Yeah. Rook e5, knight g3, f5, right? F5, right?
Well, we could throw in even king. Let's throw in king h6 first. Maybe I'm misspeaking. Let's play this one first. I mean, he can sack an exchange, but I don't really believe it.
No, I
was thinking about that.
Never sack an exchange in the end game. Almost never.
Yeah. Maybe this
it will almost well, honestly.
And I'll check with the engine, by the way, at the end. But
king h2 still, and f5 still can't be played. Of course,
king h2.
So Hikaru said that, we're missing something there.
Well, I could be I'll check with the engine to make sure I didn't mess up the mover, but I do know that black was still equal, or like 0.5 or something.
So after takes a 5 here again, like the same idea, no?
So you're talking about this line again, just to test. Because now it's different, right?
Yeah,
you take the
because
pawn.
You can't take the pawn now.
It would be a draw, but I'm quite sure he would have squeezed this. I don't know if Dane is really strong in endgames and would defend, but
he's decent.
I don't think I would.
The main point is he'd have surviving chances. And this is a really good exercise. What we're doing is we're looking at this all without an engine. And so we're going to make our own conclusions, and then we'll check with the engine to make sure I'm not saying complete nonsense. I think you're right, though, Victor, that my f5 was a little premature. Unpin the knight first. Makes sense. Then roll with the structure. This might have been what he said. He for sure said rook e5 and f5, but I think I might have rushed the answer. So let me check with the engine just to make sure. Okay. Load PGN. Nope, sorry. Engine. Yeah, so rook e5 keeps the game going. And if knight g3, yeah, good catch though, Victor, about my f5. I was a little sloppy. King here first. And this, according to, this is depth 20, so no, I would even quote it really. When I do depth 22, it goes down. So we'd have to use another engine to get like, but you can check this afterwards. But this engine is saying plus 0.49. I remember 0.5.
I mean,
like black's not losing objectively. Now, as Hikaru is going to be Hikaru, he's going to keep grinding for 200 moves if he needs to. But the point is, this would be absolute torture for Hikaru too, because he knows he's not objectively winning. And so I'll turn the engine. Oh, let's double check too about that last, about how bad F5 was, because F5 is probably a blunder, the way that I did it. Yeah, my mistake. F5 is a blunder. It's a good calculation. Just to make sure. And rook d4, exactly. So very good, guys. This is like +4. So also instructive to see me blunder, right? But yeah, so Hikaru definitely said move the king first then. But it's a move we can find. Kick the knight, make it passive, unpin your knight, hang tough. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying all the way up to move 43. Dane is not losing against Hikaru. And if he found this move with the idea of kicking the active knight, unpinning the knight, and preparing f5, compare that to the moment where Nakamura said he should have played DE4 and f5. That's something that I think a world-class player just gets, this idea of timing. It's like, how do I get my pieces rolling? How do I keep climbing the chess mountain? So what do you guys think of this game? Any thoughts before I kind of conclude my takeaways from it?
I think I think that we just have to be a lot more active, and also, well, the pawn being a positional factor is just a completely new fact to me because I really treasure my pawns. So I think like if we could, so if there's one thing I could deduct from this lesson personally is that if you could just give away a pawn for a way better, more comfortable position overall, then that's probably the better call to do. That's my only conclusion.
Great observation. Yasser Sarawan, by the way, Grandmaster Sarawan, he had a great description of what we're talking about. Is here, if your chess game is a hot air balloon and it starts to, go up in the air, at some moment, it might start to sink. And as the balloon, the hot air balloon sinks, this is a good opportunity to throw weight off of your hot air balloon. So when you're getting weighed down by material, so you don't want to willy-nilly just be like, oh, sack a pawn, sack 2 pawns, who cares? But when the position demands that you sacrifice, which here is not obvious, but when you realize G6, you're the hot air balloon and you're sinking with all the weight. This is Sarawan's point, that you throw some weight off of the side of the balloon and you rise again. And this is just like 100% true here. That now you're back in the game. Like this is the only, we wouldn't have had this lesson if Dane didn't find this move. Like I wouldn't have shown you guys this game. Like G6, okay, E5, and then he just gets killed. He sensed when the balloon was sinking. He sensed when the eval bar was plummeting ahead of time. And so this is an example of that. The other thing we can take away from this game, how often did we have really startling piece activity? Like, oh, this so-called boring ending, the QGD, we're getting into this not queenless middle game, but this dry looking middle game. There's so much life beneath the surface here. And that Nakamura was very critical of his move B3. It was okay. Wasn't a mistake. Objectively, it was good. But he could have played a move like rook A, E1. And here's that idea of timing again. If we can get all of our pieces into play, do so. And after knight C4, let the hot air balloon rise again. Objectively, I think queen C1 is playable. I don't think there's anything wrong with this move. But if I'm white here, I feel like I'm sinking a little bit. Like I'm losing a little bit of my flow, a little bit of my activity. This is Sarwan's idea. Get that hot air balloon to rise again. You take me, you're in trouble, for example. And the other lesson I want us to really take from this is, yeah, like this example kind of is a picture image of it. It's like, if we can complete development against Judah, if we can get all of our pieces to flow, you know, this is the way to maximize our chances, right? Rather than chasing a pawn or whatever. It's like, what does our position need? And she's going to be the one creating threats like this. She'll be the one playing knight b6 early. And then we have to decide, do we spend a tempo here? And I was really impressed by all of you being like, hey, yeah, maybe b3, but then a4 gets complicated. You guys are seeing that instantly. You're seeing the risk there. And I would say, Flan, the other thing I would make sure you take away from this is self-confidence. We all struggle with it, including Nakamura. And when we realize that we all lack confidence, even Nakamura, who in general is a very confident person, even Nakamura lacks confidence sometimes. You have to summon that strength, guys, to be like, I too can play chess. And if I put maximum effort in my games, this could happen. Like now I have a realistic understanding of something before I did not. If we went in the Improvers Club and we're like, hey, you get to play Hikaru in a classical game, what's going to happen? I lose in 10 moves, LOL. You know, no one's going to say and I'll say a 1950 FIDE versus a 2807 rated FIDE rated player. What's going to happen? No one on earth could predict this game. But now you can. I'm not saying the next time any of us gets to play Hikaru, which will probably be never, but I'm just saying, if any of us play a top player, remember this game. The next time you play someone 100 points rated higher than you, remember this game. And when you play someone 400 points lower rated than you, remember this game. This is the point about chess being a game of many opportunities. And so when we play Judith, let's remember this game. What did Dane do brilliantly? Nothing special. Another day at the office. Grishchuk's attitude. I've been preparing my whole life for this game. So tomorrow, Artem's playing a tournament, Flan's playing a tournament, Victor 10, 20 days playing a tournament. Every tournament is a step forward in your journey, and everything is training. Everything is preparing for your once-in-a-lifetime moment. It's all training. It's all preparation. So that's why I shared this game, because it really grounds us that I don't care what opening we play. I don't care how bad the game becomes against Judith. We'll still have chances, period. Now, I know Flan's going to go in like 20 minutes or something. So if you guys have any more questions, happy to answer. But also we could kind of shift to at least talk briefly about how we feel about the simul and kind of our game plan. And if we want to meet again briefly before the simul, I'm happy to do it, by the way.
I think, could we like move the pieces ourselves, or only you can move?
Good question. I don't know if I can give
Afraid not, no?
everyone the ability to move. Like if I sign you black, no, that's, so I can give someone, I guess I can give someone permission.
Okay.
Why can't I let you move though? Oh, there we go.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then I
well,
can
of
give
course,
Flan white. So Flan can move. And Artem and I will just sorry. There's a mouse slip. Let me revoke permission. Flan never gets to move again. Okay, Artem.
Okay.
Oh, E4, revoke. No, he had to play D4. But
So
okay.
have we decided on an opening on E4 yet? Or like
Well, we can draw a sketch.
what would you like? I would like E5, but if you prefer something else, we can of course discuss it.
So we have this.
I see a lot of Petrov game being played in the Grand Swiss lately. I don't know if it's just a new fad or whatever, but there's currently a lot of fad about the Petrov here. I don't know any theory. I think it's like knight e5 over here or not?
Yeah, knight e5, d6, knight f3 back, and we take on e4. There are like classical lines with d4 and all this stuff. There's a line really drawable with queen e2, and we can play queen e7 and then queen check.
Yeah, but we don't want to.
Before that.
I mean, Petrov is like
Polgar
I'm
plays-
sure for being drawn as well.
Well, but that's not a real problem because she's playing 8 games. We are not that strong. We are both gonna make mistakes, I think.
Six
So
games,
not
not
really.
8 games.
How many? Do you guys know how many people she's playing at once?
6
I
games.
thought it was 8,
Yeah.
like the past one. I don't know how many. I thought about the past one. The past one were 8.
Wait a bit, I will.
Yeah, Chess.com just wrote a new article on like they're coming back to Gold Chess Festival and it's like 6 games.
Okay, so
It's
we
not
have
8 out of 6.
Anna Rudolph, our team, and Matt Thomas is like chessboxing or something. Alan
Yeah, there's no
Martinez
chess.
from Chess.com, and 7 games. Yes.
Now, David
Okay.
Martinez is an IM. I think Spanish community. I remember that was a team name.
LDVs. Exactly.
LDVs, yeah.
6.
So
Oh,
there's
6.
gonna be some strong.
Either way,
players.
like I think this time we have a lot more time than last time, by the way. Like last year's edition, I think they only had 30 minutes. This time we have 15 minutes. 50 minutes, which is
Yeah, can you guys
But
look
she's
up?
given
I need to
more
do
time.
my homework, by the way. Like first things first, like in an old school simul, it was just you had to move when she showed up to your board. But it's a time simul, which means we can spend as much time as we need. Is that true?
Yeah,
I
I think
it is
so.
because in the first event, well, in the event they sent me, this for the first move they spent like 3 minutes to play a response to e4, I think. So like 2 minutes they spent. So I'm assuming you can
Okay.
think.
Okay. Yeah. So to summarize, like if we play e4, e5, the Petrov is probably the most reliable choice. And one thing that surprised me, Flan, is that when Fabi was on his way to face Magnus, he played the Petrov to win. And because when Kramnik played the Petrov, he had like these really, in the 90s, he like had a lot of dull looking games. And I always had the reputation like Black's playing for a draw, but Jan is playing it. Fabi's playing it. Well, we saw the Prodigy played against Neiman, and it didn't go very well for him, but he was playing the Petrov for a win. The truth is it's a very, the modern Petrov, and I'm not a Petrov player, but it's an opening where we'll get our chances, even when it doesn't look that way.
And
Just like
she
the
plays
QGD.
she plays a sharp line with d4 here. Here she plays d4. I have seen.
Okay.
This is interesting line, by the way.
So let's sketch this out.
Mhm.
Like Artem, you have some experience with this, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
nobody else plays the Petrov.
I think
typically.
Victor.
Play knight c6.
Is anybody perchance eager to play Stafford by chance?
Oh,
I mean, if
No,
we
no,
really want
I'm
to push
sorry.
for win.
I'm sorry because if she knows the repetition, it's a plus 2.5 or something like that. If she doesn't know it, we win. But if she does, we lose, and we have wasted all the chance.
I think
Yeah, okay,
we
fair.
still could add I'm Rosen to our team, and then we will play Stefan.
Now,
There
here's where
won't be
you
choice.
guys are going to have to decide what we're going to do. Is that, and I'm willing to meet again one more time, by the way. I'm going to try to figure out who's going to make our moves for us. And if it's somebody from chess.com, I might even have that person meet with us too. But I do want to try to meet one more time just to figure it out. But I wouldn't be shocked if we run into the English D4 or knight F3, because I noticed there's a lot of times in these simuls where she's just playing on her class alone, where she'll like play a Reddy or a Catalan and just kind of play something like really chill, kind of like what Hikaru did to Dan. And that's where we're going to run into problems. Like the issue is we have limited time. So just kind of like how Flan, is excited about the Scandi, I'm getting excited about the Dutch as black, but I also know it's like very, very high risk. So I have like two thoughts and we can talk about them more. I know you probably have to run out the door here in a minute, Flan, but
No, that's fine.
the most practical, if we just want to like get a game, is just freestyle the QGD. Just because she can't move order us. Like she does this, QGD. She plays knight F3, we can still get the QGD.
I prefer playing knight f6 first and then transpose into queen QGD, because if not, if she plays d4, for example, d1 d4,
Mm-hmm.
knight f6, bishop f4. So if she plays a London, then we can play an anti-London or something
True.
like that.
The chances
I
of
don't
Judith
like
playing the London, I don't know. It's interesting.
They're really low, but I play knight f6 only for
Sure.
that, only to
Okay.
avoid the London.
But let's apply it to C4, just to show you the complexity of this.
e6.
Right, but if we play knight f6,
Or have a
Both
really
of them.
interesting line, but I'm not sure like how practical would it be in classical.
there's this anti-Nimzo line, E4, the Mechanis something line, I forget what it's called, sharp.
Here there's c5, I think. There's
Yes.
d5. There are a lot of moves here. I know a lot because I play this, but e4 is not really a move I face.
Right.
e4 is kind of
And remember, her heyday was the 90s. And this is something that was played in the 90s a lot, and it's been revived. I'm not saying she's going to play this, but I'm giving an example of how quickly we get thrown into something weird. That's very concrete. So that's the other thing to think about here, guys. Like, if she plays knight f3 or something, then like, okay, if we wanted to play a Nimzo or a Bogo Indian, like we're going to get move ordered. So like, I'm not pushing QGD, to be clear. Like, I'm not an expert on the QGD. I'm just because my first student played it brilliantly against Hikaru. That's credit to him, not credit to me. But I will say that if we're looking for something that we like, how many people have any experience on the black side of this position, by the way?
I usually
I
play
have always played.
declined.
I've always played this.
You played it too,
Always.
Artem?
Yeah. That's like my repertoire.
So you do play QGD.
And
I think
a day or a couple of days ago, I've faced pretty nice position against Catalan. So if there is a need to like sketch some lines in Queen's Gambit declined, okay, I will do it.
Sorry, Flan, what were you gonna say?
I played before I indulge in like other shenanigans. I played Queen's Gambit Decline when I was 1400, 1500.
Yep.
I still sometimes play it time to time, but my plan here would usually be knight f6 and then a6 in order to, for example, a6 and then for example, say e3, for example here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
E3,
take and go b5, no?
Yes, you take go b5 and bishop b7. Although, like, probably not now. I would usually play bishop e7, castle first, and wait for the light square bishop to move
Yeah,
first.
because
Just
if he plays
lose the
bishop d3 first, you have that idea of doing it, and you're even better. Yeah, I played this in a classical 10 days ago, I think.
Okay.
And then you also have like ideas like knight bd7, knight b6, c5, rook c8. It's just extremely
Okay, good. So
solid,
here's my advice then. I mean, and we'll talk about it more. We haven't made a final decision, but I do think regarding what are our best chances. Like if we go back to the Zagar Nakamura Zagar game, it's like if we get here, doesn't matter if you've never played the QGD in your life, we can find moves.
We are good players, I think. We are perfectly capable players to find moves.
You know, if I talk you guys into playing the Dutch, which I don't, you know, you get into some crazy stuff.
I
And
played the Dutch as well, but only for one game. And because I didn't know my plans, I got destroyed completely.
and that's what I don't want us to do. Is I don't want you to rely on me to like play some crazy thing. And then we get here and it's like, you need to like, it just so happens, I think like this is a move to play knight f7. It's a cool line. Like I'm starting to play the Dutch, like seriously, it's like very fascinating to me. And I'm like a very solid player. But my point to you guys is like, if this happens, it's like, this isn't something we can easily play. If we get something, you know, like this, and, you know, we can kind of figure out some chess, I think.
It's not complex.
And again, this is your guys' game. I'm going to do my best to help and make it, you know, as exciting as possible. And I want to help us do very well. But I also want you to remember, this is your game. This is your opportunity. And it's a pleasure for me to join you. So I don't want to give the impression like you guys got to play the Petrov and you got to play the QGD. But from what I'm hearing, although Flan and I both have like dreams of the Scandinavian and the Dutch and everything like that, it's an example where I don't think you can freestyle in those openings very well if you don't have experience. Whereas I think QGD, because it's solid, there's like 100 moves you can play here and you're okay. A6 is a move, by the way. H6 is a move. This is 100% playable, like 100% playable. Tons of stuff you can play. And so the thing we'll have to get on the same page about, though, Artem, when you say Catalan, do you typically play the closed Catalan or the open or something else?
Usually
So,
open like classical with. Okay, give what typical
I'm just-
Catalan position firstly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Here, let
Bishop,
me,
bishop to e7, like something like this.
Right. Here, castles.
Castles.
Because I think there's a good chance she could play this.
And we take the pawn, and then
Okay, so
we'll figure it out.
Okay, got it. And so this gets into some concrete stuff. There's also a way to freestyle in the closed Catalan, where you can play like b6, knight a6, whatever. Or yes, this is also solid. Then you got to know some stuff though after knight e5. So then this will just be a kind of a test example. Let's say Judith plays this against us.
I think knight c6 is a move, but
yes, and that's my point. And so you get into some weird stuff. So it's something where we'll have to talk about it in advance. Where like I think you take with the bishop, which seems crazy, and this gets into some weird line.
Yeah, take and so something we'll figure that out. We will figure out because our main weapon against Catalan is c5, obviously, and without light squared bishop,
Sure.
We are more than happy with our position.
Sure. And so I give you guys this as a thought, and then all of a sudden Judith plays this, and then she, you know, I don't know. So let's even say this happens. And now she plays the ready. I don't think she'll do it, but I'm just saying it's an example where you might
just push d4 and c5 here.
Yeah, I think the c5 is kind of a nice move. Oh, and the d4 usually.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, guys, is I think you all trend active. Like when you have chances to play active, this is what you guys do. And that's great. And then you just get into some kind of concrete stuff, but it's a game. And if you're not sure, you know, worst case scenario, there's nothing stopping us from being solid as well. And we'll just have to choose. But I'm just kind of mapping this out where it's like, if we play the Dutch, we're in the wilderness. But if we play QGD, it's like, I don't know these lines very well, but if she's freestyling, then we get to freestyle too, but it's not rock, you know, so So the last thing I'll say, and we'll all connect because I know Flan's got to run and catch that bus, but if we go Petrov, maybe that's our best bet, just from the standpoint of reducing our chances. We do want to be ready for King's Gambit,
Oh,
Vienna.
King's Gambit, I have prep against it.
Okay.
It's f4, and you go, in this case, d5.
Good. Yep. We'll figure it out.
Fogbeer? Oh. I used to be a King's Gambit player, so I know like these lines very
Perfect.
well.
Okay. So if we face it, we face it. I think she might play bishops opening.
Oh, but then
Bishops-
if she wants to go into a Vienna, it's a similar thing. Knight f6, I think. I play here.
And then do you play c6?
Uh,
What do you do, Art?
If they play d3, yeah. If they play any other thing, no.
Okay.
I think c6, and we are pretty solid with d5 push and something like
c6,
this.
f4, d5. I think that's theory. Something.
Okay. So to conclude then, and we can meet later if we want to talk about specifics, but if we have a general plan of Petrov and some kind of QGD freestyle, that at least will get us out of the opening without dying. But also you can see why I shared this game first. I think this Zagar game gives us a really clear indication what we need to be able to do from both sides. When knight c4 is in our face, we're going to think about b3, but I want us to work together to be like, what's the solid move you'd play in a bullet game? And then can I keep developing? Can I keep the game active? These are things we're going to have to talk about and then kind of just vote together on what we think is good. So I know Flan's got to run. This might be a good spot to stop.
I still have 10 minutes.
Okay, you're good. Okay, so I'm gonna try to find out who we're meeting with. If I can find out who's going to make the moves for us, I will try to look into that. Is there anything else we wanted to kind of talk about or sort of plan?
Well, I just wanted to confirm if we really do want to play Petrov, for example, and in that line. If you like the line, for example, we have to. I think we have to know. Of course, we have Артем that knows the theory. If he knows the theory, then we're completely fine. Knight f3, knight f6.
Are you using a chessable course, Artem? Like, what do you use for your?
I use Karana's course, I guess, like Unbeatable Petrov or something like that.
Yeah, Zaleki's course on. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So this is my preparation.
Okay. So we might lean a little bit there. I might be willing to refresh a little bit on the Petrov myself.
I have a question mostly for Артем. Against bishop c4, what do you play against bishop c4 here?
This?
Knight takes pawn. Keep it.
I mean, I have crazy lines with this because this is actually a transposition of a really crazy game I played.
It's like an Stafford gambit, but with white. Knight c3 here.
Yeah,
With white.
sure.
Knight c3.
And as an exercise, let's say that we don't know the theory at all. And Judith plays this. And we're like, okay, we'll play a Kramnik move, a Berlin move.
I think
as ugly as that is, just as a mental exercise.
It's not that bad, actually, I think. It's not that bad. It's not good, but not that bad, 96.
And so my point is, she's probably not going to play this, but just as an example, if we get into some random complication that we don't know, are there bailout moves where you can just survive the opening?
Yeah.
Like, in other words, if I play this move, are we losing? I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying, if I play this bishop e7 and castle, do we live to play the legend for another 20 moves?
Probably not.
Really? It's that bad of a
probably not.
Knight takes e5, knight takes bishop, knight takes knight, 2 pieces active. We have nothing active. This looks really. But queen, maybe queen e7.
I think okay, but now we have like something like d5, and then bishop will come out. But what if there is not the capture of the pawn, but bishop to b3?
Bishop b3 too. Bishop b3.
Yeah.
But then e4. But then knight e.
Yeah, like knight c6 and like develop your pieces and play chess. Like and this is kind of the thing I'm hoping to share with you guys is like, let's not panic about the opening.
Yeah.
Like if I turn the engine on, let's just see like how bad this move is.
The best move is knight takes knight, pawn takes, and
Yeah.
black has to play f6 to be better. But
I have
Yeah.
like a
I play
crazy
that too.
idea.
Yeah.
I have a pretty crazy idea. Just rewind back real quick, like, before knight takes e4.
Yeah.
Right. Can play bishop c5 here.
Oh,
Okay.
I think bishop c5
yeah, but
completely.
this is like
Yeah, sure, right?
a beginner's thing. I did as a beginner. Like my only idea was always trying to attack the f7 pawn as a beginner, and then
Yeah.
you just play knight takes e5, and
Knight takes
always my
e4.
opponent
Go
plays,
ahead. Knight c6. Knight c6.
oh, and you transpose into an Stafford. Okay,
Yes, yes. Because here,
okay,
like
yeah,
I'd
the
love
problem is if we want to put all of our chips in and just go all in, for example, sure, f7 is a little bit hanging, but then like f2 is just extremely promising, in my opinion. And I'm not exactly sure because Jude is not technically sharp at all in these simultaneous. So if you want to go extremely all in and just go and attack that f2, then that could be a way to play. That is my
Sure.
suggestion for this, obviously.
And we'll keep
With
our
all of
options
these
in the
pawns,
air, but I will say this is that if possible, let's avoid a tightrope dance with her out of the opening. I think we'll lose the tightrope dance. That even if she's retired, even if she's not playing that actively, she's incredibly
still,
sharp. It's in her DNA, and she'll sense, if we make one little slip, kind of like how I, missed the king h6 move before f5. If we do that in the opening, we got to be careful about bridge burning decisions. I'm with you, Flan, where your strength is going to really help is like, and all three of you guys is like pushing us in dynamic directions are very good. But we also have to worry about our time management. Like, in other words,
Yeah.
if she plays this move, which I think is like hardly, I would say like under 1%, she'll play this exact line because she knows it's ultimately dubious and she's like a principled player. Keep that in mind. If we take the pawn and the conclusion is we need to take and play f6 to show an edge.
f6.
I play that with white because it's
No,
so
no.
practical to play that. It's
Right.
so
f6 is not a good move here.
But Flan, you
Probably
see what
take
I'm
the knight.
you see what I'm mirroring though, is that would be an example of a tightrope dance where you're like, I'm never playing f6. If I turn on the engine, I think the engine, just to be clear,
it's 100% the engine move.
like the engine
100%.
move is f6 here, the only move for black to get an edge. And so my point is, in the unlikely chance this occurs, and then you got to calculate and just have the knowledge, knight e5 doesn't work, queen d5 doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Where I'm going to bring my strength and where you guys are going to have to balance me out. But where I'm going to bring my strength, I just turned the engine on, knight d6, not a great move, like you guys said, but like plus 0.4. Zagar got into these positions with Hikaru too. This is a move that we don't lose the opening. We get to freestyle. The best move, bishop b3. Engine wants e4 as the best move. The move we said, 0.5 is this. And we play chess. Knight f5 is a move, knight d, whatever. And so my point is like, this is something we're going to have to practice, that if something really tactical shows up, I highly recommend, if we see a very good line, I'm not saying at some point we need to be active. At some point, like we saw in the Zagar game, we got to get our pieces out. We got to be creative. What I want to avoid, if possible, is a tightrope dance where you need to know everything very specifically, or you're in trouble. Because it might work where we trick her, but I think there's a much higher likelihood we trick ourselves. Because the second we go down like some line where Victor knows f6 is like the only move, the three of us are kind of out of the story. Like, okay, Victor, we're on your back, man. Like, you got to carry us.
I don't want that. We're a team. It's not the idea to play something like that. I don't play Petrov. I know
that's
that
okay.
because I played as white.
And guys, we're gonna have fun, and it's just a pleasure. Like, I'm starting to know you guys very well. I'm just excited that we all get to play together. Nobody's gonna be blamed if we lose or anything like that. It's like, let's have a great time. But what I do want to do, and we'll have a follow-up meeting maybe talking about this, is just, I really don't want to walk a tightrope before move 10 in the opening, if we can avoid it. And so when we talk about Petrov, the reason I think that might be a good idea is if she plays the Scotch, it's like, okay, Victor, we need you. We need your Scotch theory. If she plays Gambit or whatever. And so I'm not saying we're going to play boring.
So many lines. So many.
But then there's like Rui Lopez, which is her whole career. I don't want to like put us in a spot where it's like we need specific knowledge to survive. And I don't know, and that might be something for you, Artem, to kind of look at your Petrov experience and be like, how often are you getting blasted out of the water, out of the opening? It's got to be pretty rare.
I usually lose on time, to be honest.
Oh, good. Well,
much more often than losing in opening.
But anyway, I just want to like speak to that. It's like you guys are going to help direct where we're going to play. But if we get out of the opening and get a playable middle game against her, we're going to have chances. What I don't want is some kind of like all in out of the opening early. Because then we don't get to play. If we're wrong, then we don't get to play a game. You know what I mean? Like if we play something that's like okay and we get out of the opening, then everything's possible. Flan, I know you got to run. Good luck in your tournament. Let's all email.
Thank you so much.
We have a good
luck,
general
Al.
plan of what's going on, and then we can kind of just talk about specifics, I guess, in the next week or two.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you. And Artem, after this, please send me the recording of.
Sure. I will
the
share
meeting.
the link for
Could you send
to all
it
of
to
us.
me, please? Could you send it to me as well, please, Artem?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. All right. See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Yep. I'll see you guys. So yeah, anyway, we'll I don't know how much time we'll have before the actual game. I think it's 7 a.m. my time. I'm gonna show up, and maybe the round starts at like maybe the simul starts at 8. I forget the exact time.
Okay.
For me, it's a good hour for you actually. Like they told me it's like 2 of CST. So I really don't know if it's a good time for you. It's not like 5 or 6 a.m. for you, something like that.
It'll be like 8 a.m. So it's like I'm starting my day. It won't be
Okay.
bad.
Okay.
And so for you guys, hopefully it won't be too late. I imagine not.
No, it's really, really early for me. I'm actually gonna have to take 2 hours out of school to play.
Okay, got it. So anyway, I guess we can talk about this all more later, but I mean, how does everyone feel about the one thing I want to be just a little bit, I want to give a suggestion somewhat strongly is like not to walk a tightrope in the opening unless we're forced to.
I can agree with that, but makes sense.
That definitely makes sense.
Because look at the game with Dane, like the world number 2, Dane isn't an opening player. He doesn't know theory very well. So when you don't know theory very well, you're playing the world number 2, you assume you get knocked out. Not true necessarily. If you play solid chess, like not passive, boring chess, but I'm just saying like the Petrov is very solid and it limits her choices. I don't know why in my gut, I feel like she won't play e4. She might, but in my gut, I just feel like will be one of the people she's going to freestyle against. If not just for the fact that our team is called Chessable Improvers, right? So she might be like, oh, it's the openings team. So if I'm Judith, I'm going to play like King's Indian attack or English or Reti.
Insigniata.
But I'm not Judith, so
But
I don't know.
again, the same thing, no? QGD, and that's fine, no?
It's very much fine, and there's even a nice little twist where I think inspired by Gukesh. I'll have to look it up, but there's a line where is it even C5 here? There's some line where you play H6. And the idea is
Yeah.
you play
He
knight
got
H7.
okay, yeah. He
Which
played a
looks
similar
crazy.
thing again in the Grand Swiss, but in a really different line with H6 and G5. Really different opening, but similar thing. Ukesh is a really attacking player.
And the idea, Artem, as bizarre as it looks, is that now if you castle short, and sometimes you castle long, but you can castle short, and your idea is you don't get checkmated. And then the knight often pivots here or it supports f6. Looks bizarre, but basically like the quick attack, like the old Fischer favorite. I'm not playing the exact move order, but it's something like this, where you go h4, knight f1, knight h2, knight g4, h5. Like Fischer won a whole bunch of games when he was experimenting with the King's Indian. And you go b5, a5, whatever, and your king comes under fire. So imagine the setup, but you have h6 and you have a knight on h7. As crazy as that looks. You can move your rook, you can bounce back. And anyway, not that this will necessarily happen, but I just wanted to just give a random example where we can create and be flexible. I might be getting the exact move order wrong, but I just remember there being something like this that turns out to be surprisingly playable. But like, if we get here, do we have to find an only move to survive? No. Is it kind of weird? Yeah. But like, the center's closed.
With h4, what's our plan after h4 with white?
It's a good question. I think we have some flexibility. Like, I don't think queen c7 is inappropriate. We could fianchetto. And we could just actually deliberately not castle and wait a little while. But I do know white sometimes, or black sometimes castles. And we'll even go for f5 or something. So again, don't trust the exact moves I'm showing you here. This is just my memory. I don't think I'm...
It was just a question on the exact position. Like, it looked interesting for me, like the knight, if it can go to g5, it has to go to f8, I'm assuming, and then it's difficult.
And so anyway, I guess at the end of the day, we could talk about openings forever, but I wanted to just continue to circle back to that Nakamura Zagar game to show you that was a classical one-on-one game. And the world number 2 did not get much of an advantage against a 1950 that was freestyling. Like, when was Dane out of book? Maybe here. Maybe earlier. Like, you just had a general idea. Like, we could play this against Jude if she plays the exchange. It's not anything crazy. We don't have to play this move. I'm just giving an example where it's like, it's easy to remember. It's like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to prepare bishop f5. Not that you guys have to play the way Zagar did. I'm just giving an example that if we play a solid opening, we're going to get a middle game. And that's my goal, guys. If we get a middle game and we get a memorable game, that's going to be a treasure for the rest of our lives. What I don't want is like, oh, we tried some trappy thing and we forgot one move, or we mixed a move order, and now we're dead lost by move 8. You know what I mean?
But by the way, it will be also memorable.
Yeah. Yes. Not in the way we'd like to remember, though, right?
That's another question.
But anyway, long story long, a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the Nakamura Zagar game. I thought it was very inspiring. The kind of game you just wouldn't see otherwise. So it's like, I'm happy that Dane had that opportunity to play Hikaru, and I was happy to share it with you guys. And I really think that game is something we can, you can find it on chess.com events, but just to remind me, I can send the PGN. Like, if you guys want a copy of the game, I can just send it to you.
Yeah, it would be awesome, because I really want to check A4 lines of this game.
Perfect. I'll send that your guys' way through email. And then, so I don't know whether we'll get any time to do like a big meeting beforehand. I think at the very least, we should make sure we have everything on the same page, knowing when to meet. We can show up a little bit early. I assume they're going to give us like a Zoom link or a Google Meet, or I don't know.
Wait, should I download Zoom? Like, should I? They told me they would contact me regarding the details with Zoom installation and these things. But do I install it already?
I would wait. Let me look at my calendar here. 1 second. I'm old school. I have a physical calendar, so I'm looking at all the dates. Oh, here it is. I have written down on the 23rd that I have a meeting where I'm basically going to be doing like a rehearsal of like meeting and checking all the details. So we should know by like before then. So I would say do nothing about, I don't know if it's going to be Zoom. I have no idea what we're going to be doing. So just hang tight and then I'll let you know. But very excited. I know it's late. Артем, was it midnight for you now at this point? Or
Almost. But
almost.
okay.
So big shout out to you guys hanging out and just stay in touch. We'll talk in the email thread. You guys obviously both have DM'd me on chess.com, so you know how to get a hold of me. And then we'll talk about it more. So just to conclude then, we're heading toward Petrov. If she plays E4 is our thinking, like E4, E5 for sure. And then Petrov. Are we okay with that?
Completely okay with it.
I'm more
And
than okay with
then
it.
our basic plan is if she plays anything else, we're going to freestyle some kind of QGD.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good, guys. Any last questions or thoughts as we're wrapping up for the night?
I asked you about the monthly prices, the monthly prices about chess.com and the Improvers Club. Will they continue?
Yeah, I sent some messages to the team. I don't want to misspeak about what the plans are. So as soon as I know, I will let you know. I'll be off now for the weekend. So
Don't worry about it.
if you don't hear from me like early, like middle of next week, just send me a message as a reminder. But I did send a message already after you sent the message. I just haven't received a reply. What I do know for sure in the long term, Improvers Club we want it to be separate from Improvers Challenge, right? So now that Coach Champs is happening, I am very much personally bought into adult improvement and then community improvement as well, of course. And so I really want to build out that space. This is the first year we've been doing it. Obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement, ways to continue to develop, and we will be obviously asking for feedback. We've already did a mid-year survey, but I'm sure there's a lot of feedback you guys can personally share at the end of the year, and we can start kind of strategizing too of like, what do you want to see the Improvers Club look like, and what are things we can do to make that a special place that, we all really enjoy. And so you guys have personally contributed to making it a special place that I'm encouraged to see. I'm doing it, and there's a lot, I think there's a lot of opportunity to keep growing with this project. So that's the one thing I know for sure is that I want to stay active. I want to keep using the Improvers Club. I'm going to start doing some YouTube videos. Like we've talked about this a little bit. And so anyway, we'll see where everything goes, but just send me a message next week. If you don't hear from me by like, say Monday, like Tuesday comes around, you don't hear from me, remind me and I will revisit. But that question has already been thrown out there. So I should have some more information soon.
Thank you very much for everything. It's a really nice class.
Thanks. Appreciate
nice
it.
to meet you, Artem.
Yeah, great job, guys, and have a great evening. And I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you all, and see you. We'll share links to videos soon. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Bye.